Welcome to the Infidel Podcast of the Damned, the weekly companion show of the Infidel News. Join us as we discuss this week's religious accounts from an atheist perspective. From Timbuktu to Toledo, from Kathmandu to Canada, from Bangalore to Bangladesh. We deplore, you deride. And here are your hosts, Dave and Nicole.
Hello, and welcome to show number 26 of the Infidel Podcast of the Damned. I'm your host, J. David Core, atheist, author, and agricultural augmentation. And with me is my co-host, Nicole Samard. Hello, Nicole.
Hey, how are you doing?
Also joining us today is a YouTuber who's also one of our anchors who'll be anchoring the show today. His name is, on YouTube, he's Onk Infinitus, but we're going to call him Infinitus. Okay, Onk Infinitus. And today he'll be Josh. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2015, and we're going to be discussing the upcoming episodes of the Infidel News, which will run beginning Monday, May 4th, 2015. Show notes for all of our podcasts can be found at infidelpodcast.blogspot.com. And I'm running out of funny little double A things to put at the end of my description of myself. I always say I'm atheist, author, and then something that starts with two A's, and I'm running out of words. So
I won't make any suggestions.
Okay, yeah, don't.
That starts with A-H.
Yeah, I can think of a few things that start with A. I can call myself, but that's okay.
Yes.
So the big news from last week that happened after our last podcast was Nepal. They had a major earthquake, and there's tons of people suffering over there. There's death. There's lots of places where you can donate. But I saw a story that was circulating around Facebook, and it was coming to me from like some of the atheism channels that or Facebook pages that I subscribe to, and they were repeating this story out of an India newspaper. That the Gideons sent a plane full of Bibles. But it turns out that was a parody story. But there's nothing in the story to indicate that it's parody. It's bad parody. Yeah, it's very bad parody. Because
it's not bad parody. Good parody is when you cannot, you cannot tell, it's so credible that it fools you.
Well, it's hard to parody religion.
Yeah, but a parody should at least be funny,
Yeah.
That's like a lot of the pose that are out there. You can't tell that they're pose because they do it so well that you actually believe that they're actually Christians.
Yeah, rubber chickens would be funny. Bibles, not so much.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But you can actually imagine the Gideons doing that, though. Like, we got to help these people. Let's send them some Bibles. You can imagine them doing that.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning that they found a baby who was still alive after 5 days.
Wow.
Well, that's amazing. You wouldn't think a baby would be able to survive that long without. How old is a baby?
I don't know. They didn't say.
Babies need to eat like every 5 minutes, don't they?
Yeah, it depends on the baby. I mean, if they're calling a 2-year-old a baby, or if they're calling a 1-year-old a baby, I can see.
No, it's I'd say it was probably under 1.
Under 1. Yeah, see, that's kind of hard. That's amazing that baby survived.
Well, some people call a fetus a baby.
Yeah, some people.
Yeah.
Some people call out a fertilized ovum a baby too.
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that it is.
Mm-hmm. Another story that was going around on Facebook this last couple of weeks is a story about a woman who had a they found in her head her embryonic twin, they were saying. Ooh. And all these stories were picking up on that it was her embryonic twin, but it wasn't an embryonic twin. What it was there's a kind of cell that the body produces during early gestation. And it's not stem cells. It had another name. I forget what it was called. And it can become any kind of cell. And this woman had a tumor in her brain of those cells. And so some of the cells actually became teeth and hair follicles. And so when they found it, the doctors jokingly said she had her embryonic twin in her head. And
Uh,
that's what the media picked up on. So there's all these stories going around Facebook that she had her embryonic twin, but it wasn't. And it's actually a much more interesting story than that.
yeah.
Actually, though, even cyst, they found things like that, teeth and hair inside of cysts.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But what I think it would be interesting is if Josh told us a bit about it himself, since he just started a couple of weeks ago. It would be nice to know a bit about Josh.
All right. Well, let's see. My claim to fame on YouTube is that I make videos where I open up letters from Peter Popoff and I make fun of them. It's a lot of fun, and people seem to really appreciate, for the most part. And yeah, I'm an ex-Catholic. I got away from religion as soon as I started actually listening in church. I officially called myself non-Christian at about 19 and an atheist at about maybe 26. And I'm 33 now, so it was a while ago. I'm past the angry phase, and now I'm just laughing.
It's interesting that you are an ex-Catholic because you're in good company. We're, JD and I are both ex-Catholics.
Yeah, well, my dad's side of the family is very, very Catholic. He's one of 10 kids. He himself, not so much. When I came out as an atheist, he didn't care at all. My mom had a little trouble with it, though, but we talked it out, and it wasn't too bad. I was very lucky there.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you you're in Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you near Austin?
No, I'm near Houston.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I'm not the good part of Texas. Yeah. I mean, I like it here, but yeah, it is quite religious. Although there is a pretty good community of non-Christian people. I go to a weekly gathering called Houston Oasis, and I take the pictures there, and a lot of really good secular people there.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, you should tell us about them. What do they do?
Oh yeah, well, we meet every Sunday. We do a lot of other things, but yeah, on Sundays we meet. The meeting consists of a community moment where someone from the community comes up and sort of shares a musing with us. We have live music every week. We have like a different band every week. It's great. Some of them are amazing. Then we'll have like a main talk, and where someone will teach us about something, basically. And yeah, and then we do a lot of social get-togethers aside from that, and charity work too.
So this organization that Houston Awakening,
Oasis.
Houston Oasis. Did you find them through one of the like an online community, or did you know them some other way?
No, I heard about them through a friend who I went to a meeting of Houston Church of Free Thought, which is another atheist group here, but they're a bit more centered on being anti-religion. Houston Oasis is secular, but it's not anti-religious. They welcome everybody, though atheists tend to gravitate toward it. But that's how I heard about that from.
Is either of those organizations available on meetup.com, for example, or do they have a website that if anybody wanted to in the Houston area wanted to look into it?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about Houston Church of Free Thought, but I'm sure if you searched for it, you'd find it. Houston Oasis has a meetup page and a website, houstonoasis.org, where you can see some of my photography. All right.
Cool. That's awesome.
Well, make sure you give us the link after the show so that we can put it in the show description.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I do a couple of times a year. I go to Pittsburgh, which is the nearest place around me, because I'm in the middle. I'm in Ohio, where there's no big cities around me. The closest big city is Pittsburgh. I could go up to Akron, which would be another extra hour, or Cleveland or places like that to find meetups. But Pittsburgh's the closest that I have, so I go to that a couple times a year. Found them through meetup.com. So yeah, I like Meetup. It's a good place. So if you're out there in the audience watching this and you're not in Ohio or Pittsburgh or Texas, but you're looking for a group to find, meetup.com. Just go there and create an account, and they'll help you find something.
It's free, so
it is free. It's free to sign up. Yep. So are we ready to do the first story, Nicole?
Absolutely. Here we go, guys.
Although Pope Francis has expressed conciliatory views on homosexuality during his time as head of the Church, some are saying that Francis' appointment of Laurent Stefanini, a close aide of President Francois Hollande, who is both a practicing Catholic and openly gay, might have crossed the line. The French press has issued stories claiming that Pope Francis himself has made the decision, but no actual statement has come out of the Vatican one way or the other. This is an unusual delay for an appointment made by France in January, considering that such things are usually acted upon in just a few weeks. Thus the question remains, has the decision been made at all, or is this merely a power play by the bishops, who, in many cases, are more conservative in their views? It may be the case that the Vatican has made a behind-the-scenes request for an alternative appointment that would not force the Pope's hand. While the French press seems to have made up its mind on the matter, the notion that Francis himself would be the stumbling block appears not in keeping with his earlier actions and remarks. Meanwhile, there has still not been an official statement from the Vatican that we can find on the subject.
So, okay, now I'm a little bit confused by this story. So France, their government appointed an ambassador to the Vatican who was a gay man, but he's not clergy.
No, but he is a Roman Catholic.
Okay, so he's living in a constant state of sin as far as the church is concerned. But whatever.
Yeah.
But if they sent a divorcee, I don't think he'd care.
Nope.
Some clothing of mixed fibers.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's a pro-war guy.
A lobster.
A lobster. But and then the other thing I didn't understand in the story was, do they think Francis was buckling under from pressure from the bishops, or do they think that he himself is opposed to the appointment?
Well, it's we don't know if it's the Pope himself who is buckling under, or if it's the pressure of the anti-gay bishops that's stalling everything. So all we know is that the Pope has made all sorts of comments since he got elected about opening towards people who are gays and trans, and yet there are conflicting things that happen all the time, and this is one of them where France has selected somebody to be the ambassador, and the Roman Catholic Church is just stalling and not even commenting officially on what's going on.
They're shunning him. Whatever happened to papal infallibility? Shouldn't they be following his lead?
Well, papal infallibility only applies to matters of faith.
Oh.
So the Pope actually doesn't have as much power as people think he has. He does with the people. Anything the Pope says with the people is one thing, but anything he says inside the church, he's basically he's just the Bishop of Rome, really, when you get right down to it.
Yeah, all he is a bishop, no more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cardinals actually, and technically the cardinals actually outrank him, but people don't really understand that. And it's because the Pope has been given this claim of infallibility. People think that means that the Pope can say anything he wants, and people have to listen to it. And he also is the face of the church, and so people give him a lot of credibility there. If the Pope is in step with the cardinals let him say whatever he wants, and they pretty much step back and they put it on him. He's the guy who said it. So it's but when he opposes the cardinals make sure that they jump right up there and say, nope, he's wrong.
Okay. He just sounds very powerful because he's got "the" in the front of his titles.
Yeah. The Pope. Il Papa.
Yeah.
Le Pape.
Yeah, but yeah, the he's also like he's the boss at the Vatican. You know, as far as like what goes on in the Vatican, he is the boss there. But most of the decisions are made by his consigliere. So you know, and he just signs off on them. So it's a weird religion. People don't really understand how complicated the Catholic religion is. Somebody asked me recently about on a forum. They were asking about the Catholic Church, and I had said that that there are monks who are secretaries, and it turns out that I was wrong. They're not monks; they're friars. If you're a monk, you have to be cloistered. If you're a monk, you're monastic. You're in a monastery. If you're out of a monastery doing anything else, like you're a friar, and only certain orders have friars. So it's I mean, there's so much
and friars cannot say the mass.
Right, friars cannot say the mass, and monks can. It's really bizarre. It's a strange. It's a very strange religion.
Because friars are not priests.
Right, and then there's some churches like in really urban areas that don't have a priest at all, and they'll have deacons, and a deacon can get married, but he can also say mass. Although he can't. I don't think he can transubstantiate the host. Does that sound right, Nicole?
I can't. I've been gone for too long, so I can't remember that part.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. But anyway, so yeah, that's enough about the Catholics.
I got out of it as soon as I started learning about it. So
yeah, I've learned more about it since I got out than I knew when I was in it. I'm one of these people who I'm constantly trying to learn about religion. And not just Catholicism. I try to learn as much about other religions as I can, so that anybody who says to me, "Well, you just don't understand it," I can say, "Yes, I do."
Yeah. Well, since that study came out showing that atheists tend to know more about the religions, you know, we can really claim a lot of authority over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they say that you cannot understand the Bible unless you believe what it says when you read it.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about the Quran to them.
Yeah, or the Bhagavad Gita, or Dianetics.
Gospel Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yeah.
Which I have read, so and believe.
Yes. You don't.
Yeah.
You just don't understand Cthulhu.
Where's your strainer? You're supposed to be wearing your strainer.
Is that how it's pronounced, Cthulhu? Because I've been saying Cthulhu, and
it's Cthulhu, but most people that I hear say it just say Cthulhu because it's easier.
Yeah.
Cthulhu is like it's like one of those African click languages. It's kind of hard to know where to put the noises and stuff. It's like French. What a screwed up language.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's the Spanish R's that I have problem with. The TH.
Oh, I can't roll this.
The English TH gave me some problems, some difficulties at first, but I quickly learned to get, to say it. But the Spanish R's, I cannot roll my R's like that.
Mm-hmm. It's called trill.
Yeah.
I can't trill my R's, but not everybody can do it.
Certainly not me. I don't think most Texans can. Wait,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
What am I thinking of? Hispanic people. Never mind.
Yeah, that's most Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got quite a few Hispanic Texans over there.
Oh, there are a lot. They're very nice. I've worked with a lot of them.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of Amish people. They're nice too. That's what we have in Ohio. We have Amish people. We don't have a lot of Spanish people, except up north. But where I am, we don't have a lot of ethnic people at all where I'm from. But we do have Amish people, which is they might as well be.
Where I live, it's very, very, very ethnic. Yeah. We've got the world's largest city when it comes to East Indians, like people from India, outside of India itself. Like you've got their capital, Bombay, as the biggest city that has the most Indians, and then after that you've got Brampton, where I live.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing considering how many people there are in India.
Yes, and you remember what's his name? The comedian Peters.
Yeah, we talked about him a couple of shows ago. I don't remember his first name either.
But you know, he's from here. He grew up over here in Brampton.
Yeah, Brampton's close to Toronto, and they have a lot of Vietnamese in Toronto.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and there are a lot of Vietnamese in Quebec because a lot of them spoke French. Because back in the days in the 60s,
Khmer Rouge.
exactly. No. The Khmer Rouge are not not at all Vietnamese. They're from shoot.
Cambodia?
No, or maybe I can't remember, but they're certainly not Vietnamese. But the thing is, Vietnam used to be a French colony, and so until the 60s, a lot of them spoke French. And after the fall of Phnom Penh, is that it?
Sounds right.
Sure.
After the South Vietnam fell, then a lot of them came to Canada and went to Quebec because they spoke French. But we've got a lot of everything, and by I think they said in about 20 years there's going to be more people of every possible ethnic group than there are people of English background.
Yeah, well, in America, it's supposed to happen by 2050. That the white people will be completely out, almost eradicated as a. By 2030, we're no longer going to be the majority, and by 2050, we'll almost be gone.
I prefer to think of it as integrated.
That's what I mean. Integrated. We'll be integrated.
But I didn't mean English people. I mean white people. I meant people of English background, British background. So, like for example, if you've got an Italian, or if you've got somebody from Poland. I consider them outside. Like I'm talking only of British background. People of British background are going to be the minority very soon in Toronto.
Okay,
It's probably for the best.
well, I'm Irish, so anything bad that happens to the British is okay by me.
Oh, Irish are British, aren't they? England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. That's great, right?
Irish are British.
No,
Not
the Irish are
English.
British.
They're British.
Yeah. Is that weird? Okay.
No,
Yeah,
the Irish
because
are
the
not
thing
British.
is, you've got England and you've got Great Britain.
You know,
So-
it's the United Kingdom. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
but-
United
but the
Kingdom
Irish-
is the same as Great Britain. And when it comes to Ireland, you've got Ireland itself and Northern Ireland. The
Right, and
Irish are
Northern
not
Ireland is
even British. The Irish, they're just themselves. It's the
Right,
people
the
of
Southern
Northern Ireland who are part of
are-
Great Britain.
Part of it's what and so right, and so Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, is not British, and Irish people are not British. They have the Scots are not don't consider themselves British either, although they're part of
They
Great
are.
Britain. They're part of Great Britain. So in that sense, they're British as far as like they're British as far as geopolitically, but they're not British as far as in their hearts.
Yeah, which is why separatism is still very much a big question over there.
Right.
What about the true Scotsman?
There is no
Are you
I
a
hear
true
they don't
Scotsman?
like sugar in their porridge.
What's that?
I hear
Are
they
you
don't
a
like
true
sugar.
Scotsman?
They don't like sugar.
Oh, that's the true Scotsman fallacy.
I thought it was about haggis.
I don't know.
Well, I know what they love. They love deep fried Mars bars, and that's
Sounds
good.
good. Yeah.
That is, but that's also an American thing. Not necessarily Mars bars, but deep fried candy is very American too. They do that at the fairs.
Yeah, but deep fried Mars bars is a Scottish thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's weird. That's like saying,
is it?
yeah. That's like saying spam is Hawaiian, though, because Mars bars are not Scottish.
They're Martian, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. They're Martian.
Yes.
Well, let's move on. Let's do the next story.
Anyway.
Okay. Here we go.
Although Sunnis and Shiites have remained at relative peace in Yemen, Shiite Houthi rebels supported by Iran and Sunni Muslims supported by Saudi Arabia are stirring up trouble and exacerbating the existing tensions that have existed between the northern and southern regions of the country. After years of fighting, both regions unified in 1990, but tensions have long persisted with the Marxist South, never feeling that it had been fully integrated, and the central government not being strong enough to control all parts of the country. Now hope is fading that the shaky union can survive as the sectarian divisions, fueled by outsiders with their own agendas, turn the country into an international tug-of-war. Analysts are divided as to whether the conflict will evolve primarily along regional lines or sectarian ones. And the final answer may be both. Some in the South see the wider destabilization as a good opportunity for fresh secession. However, one thing is certain. Given Iranian, Saudi Arabian, and even U.S. interests in the matter, the Yemenis will not be left to settle their differences on their own.
Now, this whole situation in Yemen is so convoluted and complicated and hard to follow from a Western perspective. Because there's so much outside influence going on in there, and then there's so much internal division. And all of this goes back to the fact that there was never any reason for Yemen to exist as a country in the first place, other than because it satisfied European objectives.
Well, Dave, it's one of those sect things, like there's a sect that is I forget which one, if it's the Sunni or the Shiites, that they. You've got most of them in Iran, and so Iran is helping him, and you've got the people in Saudi Arabia who are supporting another group, and then so one of them started a fight, and then everybody else is trying to prevent the other big country to win the battle over there.
Right. Saudi Arabia is Sunni, and Iran is Shia.
Okay.
And there's also the issue that there are Shias who are Persian and there are Shias who are Arabian. So even within the Shiite community, there's a division because of that ethnic background, and they all speak Arabic because of having to learn the Quran, but they really in their home lives the Persians still speak Farsi, I think, don't they?
Yep. Yes, they do.
Yeah. So even within a country, even within a single country now, you have people speaking Farsi, you have people speaking Arabic. I think there's other languages too that they speak, so that causes problems even within the sects.
Yep. And that's why I was trying to explain earlier this week to some fundie that the same atheists refer to Christians as as for everybody who supposedly follows Christ. So whether it's a Roman Catholic, whether it's an Anglican, whether it's a evangelical or whatever, they're all Christians. And I said, and that's the same thing goes over there. I said to you, I said, every Muslim is a Muslim, and that's it, and you don't see the difference. But over there, they see a difference. They've got the Sunnis, they've got the Shiite, they've got a whole bunch of other sects, and each one is saying they're the only real Muslims. I said, and so you've decided that you're the only real Christian. Over there are sects of Islam, and they all say that they are the only real Muslims. And so whether or not you want to consider yourself the only real Christian, as far as we're concerned, you're all Christians, the same way as to you, all Muslims are all Muslims, no matter what sect they belong to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really, when you get right down to it, from an atheist point of view, all religions are just theists.
Yeah.
Because they're arguing over they're splitting hairs over things that aren't even real.
Well, Scientology. I mean, not everyone considers it a religion, but they do, and there's no God, is there?
In Scientology, is actually they don't really. It's a godless religion, but it's not a religion where there's no belief in God. Some of the people in Scientology do believe in God. They just it just isn't relevant to what Scientology is. Scientology. Yeah, Scientology. I know it's a very bizarre. Have you seen the movie on HBO? Breaking Clear or Coming Clear or Going Free?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
I can't think of what it's called. It's excellent exposition on Scientology. But as you watch that and you begin to understand what Scientology is and how they came about, what they believe about Scientology, there's nothing in there that says "but there's no God," but there is a God. There's nothing in it about that. It's all about looking into yourself and finding your own power and stuff like that. And they build you up based on that. And then once they have you built up based on that, they ask you they get you to keep trying to get it to higher and higher levels. And as you're getting to those higher levels, you're telling them things about yourself. And as you're telling them things about yourself, they're keeping a record of what you told them. And then they use that information to break you down emotionally later so that you stay. Because now you need them. So but at no point do they say anything about God. Once you get really high up in there and they start telling you the actual theology of the religion, the actual theology of the religion is a sci-fi story about thetans and Xenu and volcanoes and spaceships, and it has nothing to do with there's no origin story in it as far as how life originated. There's no origin story. So you're free to believe in God. I don't think that many Scientologists probably believe in Nephilim and stuff like that, but I think that they have a God belief. It
sounds a little deistic, maybe. Like they think a God created everything, but they don't really care. Whatever.
Yeah, they don't really care. Exactly. That seems like what it is. Yeah. That's me. That's me saying that as an outsider. We'd have to get a Scientologist on the show and have them explain it. An ex-Scientologist. I don't think any Scientologists.
Yeah, that's true. Get David Miscavige. He'll come on the show. He'll talk to you.
Yeah, David Miscavige will come on.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be.
Yeah. I would love to get Leah Remini on the show.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
If you're watching.
Yeah, if you're out there, Leah, watching the show. If anybody out there knows Leah, send her a copy.
Make sure she knows.
Yeah. Well, we're off topic. Let's go ahead and do the third story.
Okay, here we go.
The decision last year by the United States Supreme Court in the case of Town of Greece versus Galloway set the stage for non-Christian prayers to become an issue of contention in state houses and city legislatures all over the country. The Supreme Court had narrowly ruled that opening government meetings with prayer is not a violation of the Constitution as long as an open invitation is extended to all belief sets. As a result, the Iowa State Legislature recently opened its doors to the first ever Wiccan invocation within its halls. Of course, not everybody was pleased that a pagan supplication was going to be uttered in the state's hallowed chambers, and several Republican lawmakers and Christians in the gallery made their displeasure known. The most visible example of disdain came from Representative Rob Taylor, who decided that Jesus would want him to turn his back on Priestess Deborah Maynard of the People's Church, a Unitarian Universalist congregation, as she recited her incantation, which included the line, "By the air that gives us breath and logic, may all here find thoughtful solutions to the problems that are presented." Other Republican lawmakers chose simply to be absent during the prayer, and Christians in the audience later admitted to ignoring Maynard's recitation as they silently asked their God to turn the woman's heart to Christ.
Okay, so now I want to show you guys something. The people that are listening to the show live or listening to the show on audio only won't see this, but see my shirt, Obama 08 right? I was at the inauguration in '08, and I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but the invocation at the inauguration was read by a far right wing Christian minister. I can't think of his name right now. It starts with a W. I can't think of his name.
Right? Was it?
No, wasn't right. No. He wrote that. He wrote a book. His son died. Anyway, he's very anti-gay, and so there was a lot of discussion about him being the one who did the invocation, and people were opposed to him doing the invocation. And the people that were in the audience that day were, by and large, black evangelicals who are also generally anti-gay. Not that I want to throw a blanket on it, but they generally are kind of anti-gay. Anyway, when he came out to speak, I turned my back on him, and people gave me shit for that. Wow. For turning my back on him. And they said it was disrespectful, and these were Christians, evangelicals, who said it was disrespectful to turn your back on somebody who you disagreed with while they were delivering a prayer.
Ironic.
Yes. And now tie that back in with the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that they don't practice what they preach as a group.
Well, don't you know that the U.S. was founded is founded on religious on Christian principles, and actually God wrote the Constitution, not just anybody. God wrote the Constitution.
Yeah. But honestly, I mean, I don't have a problem with the Christians in the gallery who are praying that she turns her heart to Christ, and I don't have a problem with the members of the organization that chose not to show up, as long as they don't have a problem with when I'm there at their meeting and they open with a Christian prayer that I'm not going to stand up, I'm not going to bow my head, and I'm not going to utter amen. As long as they're okay with that, I'm okay with them doing what they did. Now, the guy turning his back on her, he had the choice to not be there. So to turn his back on her, that was a little bit over the top. That was a little bit being an asshole. But everybody else, I don't have a problem with what they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he was there, so he got the demon. So
yeah.
Well, if he opened his mouth to breathe, then he let in an opening that the demon could have used to invade his body.
That's right.
Because inhaling evil spirits is one of the dangers of yoga, for example.
Yeah, but the air that we breathe gives us life and logic, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but
yeah. I really like how the other religions are sort of turning this whole thing around on the Christians who are demanding that everyone let them express their religious beliefs everywhere they want to. And now they're seeing other people do it, especially the Satanists. That's where it's the best.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, wait a minute. I don't like their beliefs. They shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Like, well, welcome to our world.
Welcome to our world. Welcome to our pain.
Mm-hmm.
They want freedom of religion, but only their religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom of bigotry.
Yeah.
Their bigotry.
Their bigotry. Yeah. Yeah. Which is, any issue that comes up, if you can get somebody, I know a lot of Christians who can look at issues and take it out of their religion and say, okay, if I wasn't looking at this from my religious view, how would I look at it? And see where, like gay marriage. A lot of Christians are coming around on gay marriage because they realize it's none of their business. Their religion is not anybody it's not their business to impose it on anybody. But then you have these people who just with abortion and gay marriage and just issue after issue after issue. That's the only lens that they'll look at it through. And that's where the problem is. They are the problem in this country.
Actually,
stem cell research.
It's like they're afraid to think outside the lens of their own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they start, they might learn something.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't
that's
have
the
that.
danger of having all your eggs in one basket. So if one egg is broken, then the whole thing turns into a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yep.
you know, to them, everything that is in the Bible, and when I say to them, I'm not saying to Christians per se, I'm saying to fundies. To them, all the eggs are in the same basket. And so, if anything happens, the whole thing becomes scrambled eggs. And so they are afraid of that, and they cannot allow for any part of what they believe to be dismissed or to be put in endangered or questioned. To them, it's too dangerous because everything is in the same basket.
That's why they fight evolution so hard.
Yeah. Evolution instruction in school was another one. Yeah, another good point. Yeah, anything science. When you get right down to it, a lot of the climate change denial is rooted in religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Because God said He was never going to flood the earth again.
Yeah. Didn't say he wouldn't
Exactly.
freeze it.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
A lot of it is
come
based on religion.
He could come up with all kinds of lawyer tricks to say, "Oh, I didn't say I'd do this. I didn't say I wouldn't do this."
Yeah. Well, we all know the day of reckoning is coming. That
Yeah.
judgment day is on its way.
Yeah.
Well.
And there will be 7-headed monsters. And
Yes. Seven-headed beast. Yes.
Michelle
Yep.
Obama
Well,
said that Obama would bring, the end of the world.
Michelle Obama said that.
Yeah.
no,
Or-
no, his wife wouldn't have said that.
No, Michelle Bachmann.
Michelle
Bachmann,
Bach-
yeah.
Yeah,
Michelle
that's who
Bachmann
I
said
meant.
that.
I'm sorry. Michelle Bachmann said that.
Yeah. Well, back in 2008, when I was campaigning for President Obama, I went door to door talking to people in my community, and one woman told me point blank she would never vote for Barack Obama, who wasn't president at the time, Senator Obama, because she believed that he was the Antichrist. She told me that in so many words, and her son, I could hear him in the next room go, "Mom."
Nice.
Yeah, but I want to. Every time I see that woman, because I live in the same town, every time I see her, I want to walk right up to her and say, "It's been 7 years. Is he still the Antichrist? You know, is he still going to bring Armageddon? You know,
Is voting for him how you get the mark of the beast?
yeah." That's
Well,
get
Obamacare
any
was
marks.
supposed to bring on the mark of the beast. Everybody was supposed to be chipped. Obamacare was supposed to bring on death panels. Where are they?
Yep. Where are they? Yep.
Yeah, they're using religion as this political tool. Whatever they don't like is the Antichrist, or the beast, or the sign of the end, or whatever.
Right.
But you would think that if they think Obama's going to bring about the end of the world, they should be in favor of that, because aren't they looking forward to it?
Yeah, that's they and a lot of what goes on in Israel politically with Christians is because they're looking forward to they need Israel to be a state, and that's one of the reasons that Israel's a state is because Christians need for Israel to be a state.
That occurred to me recently.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I remember also during the Reagan administration, there were people saying that Reagan was the Antichrist. And I remember some of the evidence that they gave for why Reagan was the Antichrist, and a few of them are really good. Like there in the Revelations, it says that there will be a multi-headed beast, and one of the heads will be wounded but recover, and that would be James Brady. And then
That's everybody.
Ronald Wilson Reagan is 6 letters each name. So it's 666. His name is 666. He's from California, and he spent a lot of time in San Francisco, which has 7 hills, and Rome had 7 hills, and Revelation says that the Antichrist comes from the city with 7 hills. So, I mean, but it's a stretch to say he comes from San Francisco, but still, it could be said. So, yeah, but there were a lot of things that pointed to Reagan being the Antichrist, and I really wanted to make that argument.
But talking about Seven Hills, doesn't D.C. have Seven Hills as well? Wasn't it chosen because it had 7 hills?
I think I think I've heard something like that. Yeah, and it's also laid out on a pentagram. I don't know if you've ever seen that map or not, but
I have.
Lafayette, who I think it was Lafayette, wasn't that his name? Who designed DC? Designed it on a pentagram.
Sounds good. So,
yeah.
Okay, Lafayette did what?
He designed. I think it was Lafayette. It's a French name. They had a French architect design Washington D.C. and he designed it on a pentagram.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yet the Bible says to obey your government. So.
Yeah. It says that. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready for Christian glitches?
Absolutely.
Always.
And we've got a winner here with Tamara Scott. And please pay close attention. She is really... Oh, and also she's talking to a guest. And I'm telling you, what she pulls out of her hat or what comes out of her mouth makes absolutely no sense. Just listen carefully.
Last year, I had the honor of participating in the Nation of Marriage's National Day on Capitol Hill. I got to speak in front of the U.S. Capitol on marriage, and they cut. Our speeches had to be toned down in time, or I would have said this. But behind me in that U.S. Capitol, you will find women who are fussing on the left. My counterparts on the liberal side of the argument are talking about equality. By 2020, they want 50-50 in the state houses and the U.S. House, the U.S. Senate. They want 50% women, and 50% men. They want that 50-50. They want equality. And so my laugh is, then why wouldn't you want equality in a marriage?
There you go.
Why aren't those same women wanting that same argument at home? Because we know children do better when they're raised by their biological parents.
And, this brings up the feminist movement. They've been against marriage from the beginning, against traditional marriage. And it was up until the Massachusetts court case in 2003, where they recognized same-sex marriage in Massachusetts, that they've kind of changed their tune, and now they see that this would also destroy marriage, so they're for same-sex marriage.
So repeat that.
I'm saying the extreme feminist movement and, the gay liberation movement really is using same-sex marriage as a way to destroy marriage, because you have to redefine marriage in order to have same-sex, quote, marriage.
Right. And so what about those candidates who say I'm okay with civil unions?
Well, I'm not okay with that.
Well,
I think that's a cop-out, really.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me, because
No.
the whole point of our concern with the same-sex marriage is that the act, that God has not condoned it. I can't condone what he's condemned. I just can't go there. And so to ask or to force American citizens to condone something that is against their deeply held religious convictions is wrong. And so whether you call it marriage or you call it a civil union, you're still asking your fellow citizens to embrace something that goes against their First Amendment religious protections.
Well, that's true. And here's where we get into the religious liberty issues that we're seeing around the country now. That same-sex marriage is infringing on the religious liberty of others.
How's that? Was that good enough?
That was freaking crazy. She makes her first error when she says that these women want equality. So why wouldn't they want equality within marriages to be one male, one woman? That's just there's no. It's a false equivalency.
It's a non sequitur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean your thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You could have said anything. Why wouldn't you want equality in, I don't know, teachers in elementary schools? Anything.
Yeah. On the HOV lane.
Yeah.
You can have two people in a car, but one of them has to be a man and one of them has to be a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like it's like she's trying to make everything about same-sex marriage because that's all she's thinking about.
Yeah, that's so stupid. And then what was the other thing she said that I was going to comment on later? And they were talking about um, uh, they were talking about their religious rights and how gay marriage steps on their religious rights. And she was saying she can't. Oh, I know what it was. She was saying she can't condone anything that her God has condemned. Well, then she should shut the fuck up and go home, because she's not supposed to be out telling us what to think.
Yes. Yeah, divorce, planting multiple kinds of crops in the same field, clothing of different fibers, shellfish, all that stuff. Everything is forbidden in the Bible. So why pick on homosexuality?
Right.
And she was saying that if the Supreme Court, allows gay marriage, that it means that all Christians will have to condone gay marriage. No, it doesn't. It means that they don't have to condone anything. They just have to let others do their thing and let them be, and not try to impose their view on them. Let them do their thing because it's their view, it's their thing. Let them be. But no, letting them be, that means they have to condone it. Doesn't make sense.
They can't understand that marriage is not a religious thing. It's secular. It's a civil union.
Yeah. Well, this idea that the church is going to be forced to marry gay people is disproven right away when you consider that, like, the Catholic Church does not have to marry interfaith marriages, and they refuse all the time. People come to their priest and say, "I want to marry this person, but he's Jewish," and then, no, we won't do it, and they don't have to. So why would they?
Actually, in the Catholic Church, I don't know about in the U.S., but in Canada, what they do, as my wife and I, when we got married, we were, she was Anglican and I was Catholic. The priest allowed it as long as she agreed to let our child be baptized and educated in the Catholic faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there are some Catholic priests who will marry interfaith, but there are a lot of them who refuse, and they're allowed to refuse. There's nothing stopping them from refusing it. And some of them will agree to marry an interfaith couple as long as the wife takes classes, so she understands what the faith is. But it's like that. Even if there are other churches that, like the Methodists, most of them won't, but they can refuse to marry interfaith marriages. If you wanted to, technically, a Jew and a Hindu could go get married by a Methodist minister, right? But it almost never happens. But if it did happen, the minister would have a right to say, "Neither one of you is Methodist. Why would I?" Yeah. They're allowed to do that. So they're going to be allowed to say no to gay marriages if it's against their religious view, because it's the same thing. It's the same. Realistically, for whatever religious reason you oppose the marriage, you don't have to officiate it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there will always be plenty of people who are willing to officiate them. I'm ordained. I would be happy to officiate a gay wedding.
I'm ordained too. What are you ordained? What church are you ordained in?
Universal Life Church.
Universal Life Church. I'm a Church of the Dude, the Big Lebowski.
Oh. That's cool. I managed to get that too.
Yeah.
Double ordained.
Double ordained. Yeah. Okay, so that's all of our news and all of our stories. Nicole, do you have anything that you want to talk about this week? Anything
I just wanted to say that sadly there will never be another interruption from my cat because he passed away yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't look unhealthy.
No, he got a septic infection last weekend.
Wow.
And he lost all strength in his limbs, and he couldn't really get up. His legs would just slide on each side if he tried to get up. He just had absolutely zero strength in his legs anymore.
No. Yeah,
it's hard to tell with cats when they're struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, usually. they're very private. A lot of times they go off on their own, but
Yeah. Cat was like that too.
yeah. Well, my sympathies. I won't
Thank
offer
you.
any prayers though.
Nope.
Pray to the dude. Come on.
Afraid of the dude.
Yeah.
Hey, the cat abides. So, Josh, what do we have to look forward on your channel? Anything coming up?
Well, I have one or two more pop-off letters to open up, and then I guess I'll be continuing my Atheist Reads the Bible series.
So are you reading from the beginning?
Yeah. I'm up to like Genesis 22 or something, and I'm going chapter by chapter. So
You're going to read the whole thing?
it's going to be a long series. Yeah.
Are you including Maccabees?
I don't know.
You were raised, you're Catholic.
I would like to include the non-canonical stuff like the one with the Nephilim.
Enoch.
Enoch, yeah. That's really interesting. I've read a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, I've got a Book of Mormon here that I've actually started on also. So
Yeah, that's an interesting book.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one of those religions where the Christians don't consider them Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they believe in Christ.
Yeah. They believe in kind of a weird Christ, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show up. Is that all right with everybody? Anybody else got anything to add? Okay. All right. Well, that's all for today. Make sure to subscribe to the Atheism TV channel. There you can watch the Infidel News for the Damned, where our talented team of writers and anchors present these and other stories which are not normally covered in the media. In the coming week, the Infidel will rerun today's news stories and many more fascinating ones. You'll find Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv. The Infidel Podcast of the Damned is a Nicole SD production. Nicole and I would like to recognize and say thank you to Truth Search, who did the voiceover used in our intro and gave us permission to use music from his song Lied To as our opening theme. We'd also like to thank Ac Infinitus, Josh, for participating in today's podcast. Nicole's channel is Nicole SD and can be found at youtube.com/NICOLSD. I'm Gamut Man on YouTube, at Gamut Man on Twitter, and my blog and information on my books, including my nonfiction title, Believe It, You Know an Atheist, as well as my mystery novels featuring the atheist detective Lupa Schwartz, can be accessed at tinyurl.com/lupalanding. While there, you can sign up to receive my newsletter. Signing up also entitles you to choose one free ebook title from my collection of 99-cent novellas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.